play the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome to 950 Radio's Postgame Show. My name is Jaymie, and I'm joined here with a special guest, 49ers Media. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and introducing yourself.
Yeah, so guys, my name is 49er Media, and just content creator, I guess, on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at 49er Media. And so appreciate if you guys give us a follow, but make sure you guys subscribe here first, if you haven't yet, and so like the video too as well.
For sure. Alrighty. Okay. So, it was the first game of the season for a lot of teams. The 49ers played the Chicago Bears in a very wet game with the downpour in Chicago.
Yep.
49ers ended up losing. I believe the final score was 19-10.
Yep.
With Chicago winning out. Where did he even start this game? I feel like this game has a lot of same problems that I feel like a lot of past 49ers teams have had, where the penalties and stuff like that kind of bite them in the foot later down the line, because there's just a lot of unnecessary penalties that I feel like were just like unwarranted. Like the one with Drake Greenlaw, he got, what was it, roughing the passer call because he was tripping over Justin Fields or something at one point, I believe. Yeah, like stuff like that becomes really, I feel like becomes kind of frustrating. And I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on the penalties or anything like
Yeah,
that?
so I think that the penalties, you brought up a really good point of like in the past that the Niners have had history of, a lot of penalties. I feel like though in this regime, the 49ers have actually been pretty good without causing too many penalties with this, regime of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I feel like the past regime and even maybe, kind of like the end of the Harbaugh regime, that's when you saw a lot of these teams have penalties and not really start off second halves well, or vice versa, where the first half doesn't start as well in the second half, they do better. And so I think definitely the Niners just shot themselves in the foot with a lot of these penalties, even misassignments. Like Drake Greenlaw was nowhere. Like the one play that really stands out is the Dante Pettis touchdown. Like the Niners had everybody going this way, and then Drake Greenlaw followed instead of going this way, and then that's exactly what caused the Dante Pettis touchdown. And obviously you don't have Jimmy Ward out there because he's having the ankle injury right now, so communication, like Tashawn Gibson, yeah, he's a veteran, but he just recently joined this team not too long ago, so definitely just misassignments, and then just bad penalties, penalties you can not have. And luckily these are easy fixes, but those are like the main things of why I believe the Niners ended up losing this game.
I agree. Um, because I feel like they were doing pretty good in the first half. They were containing Justin Fields pretty well. Um, the defense was doing a good job. Despite the weather, Trey was doing, I think, a pretty
Yeah.
okay job. Like I feel like this game is not on the loss for this game is not on Trey. It was not um, his fault. Like personally, like I don't know if his play. I feel he could have been better, but I feel like it wasn't because of his play that they lost the game. Um, I don't know. That's my personal take. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, do you disagree?
I kind of disagree, just because the fact that the Niners had most of the momentum going into the second half, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden Trey Lance, I believe it was Eddie Jackson, he threw the interception to, and so right when that happened, really the momentum changed. And Trey Lance is gonna have these mistakes just because he's a young quarterback, basically his rookie season. And so like it's okay he's making these issues because as I feel like as long as he learns from them, I know it's tough too because we gotta win games because we feel like we're a Super Bowl caliber team, and so we do have to win these games. But luckily it is week one, and I think something else that we need to realize is like the starters, especially on defense, didn't even play in preseason really at all. And
Hmm.
so there's definitely, gonna be rust from those guys, especially having, taking off the rust. But I thought Trey Lance played pretty solid. Made some pretty like good, throws and rushing out of the pocket, trying to extend plays too. So I thought Trey Lance had some good and some bad. He's still working on the accuracy, which definitely
Hmm.
showed at times, but at least there was some good as well.
Yeah, I definitely think there's definitely some good from Trey, because I feel like he made a couple of really good throws, and I felt like he wasn't too reliant on like running out of the pocket straight off the bat. He tried to find a read down the field. He tried to use his arm first before he started taking off with his legs. What I think is what something that me personally, I think that's definitely a good thing because that means that he has trust in his arm that he can make the throws, and I think that's great. Um, yeah, I mean, there's definitely, and I think this is just gonna kind of be how it is this year with Trey. He's gonna have good and bad throughout the
Yep.
whole season. Um, so we're just gonna be in for the ride and see, and hopefully I feel like he'll bounce back. I feel like he has kind of a similar mindset, like some quarterbacks who don't let the interceptions and stuff shake them too much, and they come back and they do the best they can. So um, I'm not gonna talk too much about Trey, but I think there's definitely a lot of good and some bad from this game. So I think that's where kind of where I expected him to be at least at the beginning. Um,
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he takes accountability, like, after in the press conference, he says it, like, every single time he makes a mistake. And that just shows that he cares, he wants to learn, he wants to improve. And that's the things that we've heard about, throughout the draft process when the Niners especially traded up to 3. We heard about the IQ, the processing, the learning that Trey Lance has the ability to do. So I have no doubt that Trey Lance is going to improve, and it's okay that he's making these mistakes early on.
Rather have him early on right now than later down the line, to be honest. At
Yeah.
least in my opinion. Um, yeah. Let's see what else. Well, the defense had some defense as well had ups and downs. They had a really solid, good first half. I feel like
Yeah.
they're containing Justin Fields pretty well. They're having some good coverage and some tight coverage on some of the wide receivers for the Bears for the most part. So it's just those penalties. I feel
Yeah.
like that's going to probably with Kyle is probably going to be a big thing in practice this upcoming week is looking over that. Um, my main something that popped up to me is the momentum shift in that second half is a little bit concerning. I hope that's not something that's continuous throughout the whole season. I know the defense is probably on the field for a lot of the game because it was a rain heavy game,
Yep.
so it was probably very hard for the offense to get a good rhythm and keep it going on the offense. I know they tried very hard, but um, I just hope we're not repeating the whole defense on the field for way longer than they need to be,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Something else I was going to say, not trying to remember. Yeah. Is there anybody on defense that particularly stood out to you as a positive for this game?
I mean, Talanoa Hufanga is my like player of the game, despite the Niners losing.
Mhm.
Hufanga has been a guy throughout training camp that we've heard really, really good things about. I mean, even when we drafted him last year, like John Lynch really praised him. Um, and so he's been always on the uprise this offseason. And so, it's always like, does it translate to the field? And in this case today, it 100% did. And I mean, Hufanga literally was everywhere. Like D'Amico Ryans likes to use the word swarm on the defense. That was Hufanga today. He was swarming all over the place. And so yeah, he's definitely the guy who stood out the most and was the best, I think, defensive player today for the Niners.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think his interception was really great. I think he looked really great all over the field. He's keeping with the plays and everything, and I think that's great having somebody like him being able to step up and be as good as he's doing, and have a really good training camp. Um, uh, we have Kim here in the chat who says, "I think we fell short on the O line," and yeah, I definitely am still a little, still pretty nervous about that interior O line.
Yep.
Um, I think that's going to be a big thing for the remainder of the season. We're just gonna have to just keep an eye on it and just figure out how to deal with these really tough, because the defensive lines around the league are no joke. We're going to be playing against some really talented defensive lines, um, who I am sure are going to try to take advantage of this weakness that we have, because it's a, well, to some people it might not seem, it is a pretty glaring weakness, I feel like.
Yeah, just because we're so young on the offensive line, like just unexperienced, especially on the interior. And then like Mike McGlinchey's always up and down, so it's just I think the offensive line will hopefully gel. It will take some time, to end up gelling, but hopefully it just keeps on getting better.
Yeah, because I would have to look it up, but I know Trey got sacked a couple of times in this
I
game.
believe it was 2 times.
2 times. Yeah. Um, yeah. So that's definitely something I feel like we're all going to be keeping an eye on. I'm glad that our tackles, for the most part, I know people are up and down on Michael Gentry, but he is a very good run blocker. Um, so and we run the ball a lot in our system. Um, the 49er system. So I feel like he's he might not be the greatest pass blocker, and I think that is a problem. But I feel like there are a lot worse options than having Michael Gentry.
Yeah,
So
I mean everybody else that's like on this team, like there's no way I'd want to have them start at right tackle than
no,
Mike Lynch.
yeah. Um, is there anything else you'd like to talk about specifically?
Yeah, I actually want to talk about the play calling because I
Okay.
I know some people think that the play calling wasn't that bad. I didn't really like the play calling as much just because it was mostly just running the ball either with, Jeff Wilson Jr. when Elijah Mitchell did, end up getting hurt. And then Trey Lance did, I believe he got like 18 carries.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think, we needed to pass the ball a little bit more. I mean, I know I understand that the weather, was just terrible, but I feel like Kyle Shanahan could have had the, Trey Lance throw a little more. Um, but I think that next week and probably moving forward, just because it's pretty unlikely I'd say that we have another one of these games this season. Hopefully, like I think that
Hmm.
we'll see the play calling improve, the offense improve. So it's week one. Like there's always so many teams that you expect to win week one. Week one's always weird. Like you get the Packers last year, lose week one, and what they made it all the way to the divisional round of the playoffs. So I'm not
Hmm.
too concerned. I wouldn't like you know get super crazy about this game and get super scared. Like the season, it's a long season still. It's early
Hmm.
on, so
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I do think that the weather probably had a little bit of impact on the play calling. Um, I do think it's interesting that you bring that up because I know there's been people talking about, I guess, criticizing Kyle's play calling. I'm no expert in football analytics or any of that kind of any of that kind of stuff. I do think that Kyle is really smart with his play calling for the most part, and but sometimes I do think he could be a little bit too conservative at
Yeah.
times when he doesn't need to be. Um, and I don't know why that is. Because I do think that is starting to become a trend with him a little bit.
Yeah, because
Which
like
is
he just like sometimes won't even like if a play worked, he just won't go to it. Like so for like example, like there was the one with Ayuk early in the game, or even Ray Ray McLeod early in the game where they
hmm
were both wide open, they got it. Like
yeah.
Kyle Shanahan doesn't go to that again.
I wonder if he's worried that the opposing defenses have picked up on that. But I feel like if it's working, you should keep doing it until it stops working.
Yeah, and the thing is like everybody's like, okay, I get that, he's great. My offensive mind coach, great coach. I agree with that. But like you even see so many other coaches who are still really good, like Andy Reid. They still do that. Like they'll sometimes, if it's working, why would you not try it again? So,
hmm
I don't think there's any harm in trying it again, but that's just what Kyle ends up doing.
Yeah, I think hopefully as the season progresses, is we'll get to actually see more of Kyle's playbook open up, especially now that he has Trey Lance who can make those longer, further passes down the field.
Yep.
Maybe it will open up and he'll get to use some stuff that he wasn't able to use when Jimmy was quarterback. So I would definitely keep an eye on it. I do feel like though that maybe the weather played into this one with so much heavy running, um, which I was honestly expecting once I found out it was gonna probably be raining during the game. Um, or like at least right before the game
Yeah.
and possibly during the game. So I'm not that surprised that it was so run heavy. And also that is something that we've done for the last few years is that the 49ers haven't been a very run heavy team. Um, but I guess we'll just have to see. It would be nice to see Kyle take some more risks, I guess, of his play calling, try some different stuff out to see if it works. Because, like you said, those plays to Ayuk and to Ray Ray McLeod, they were wide open. There was nobody near them, and
Yeah.
so it's interesting that he doesn't go back to the ones that are like continuously working. Um, so I guess we'll just have to see. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, and I guess kind of last thing is like I feel like the this definitely has to, I would say, to do with the weather, but it's just like there's never a time where Kyle actually got to give Trey Lance like the shot to just adjust and like get
Mm-hmm.
into rhythm because when Jimmy Garoppolo got here in 2017, what was he doing? He just had simple, quick release, throws to with Jimmy Garoppolo, and that worked, for the first 5 games, and the Niners won, and so that I think that was to do with the weather a lot, and so I'm hoping next week versus Seattle and beyond, Kyle Shanahan does just go simple, and continue to expand the playbook as Trey, gets more comfortable to the plays and in the offense. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just something I wanted to see. Today it was just I don't think Trey Lance really got a chance to be able to like adjust and get into a rhythm.
Yeah, I would agree with that to an extent for sure. Um, I do think there is something to say if like when Jimmy was here in 2017 and the playbook was very condensed for him and how much success he had in those 5 games. Um, I hope that he does something similar for Trey while Trey is still adjusting to the playbook, because we've all heard that Kyle's offensive playbook is very complex and
Yep.
can take a minute to learn. Um, so I hope like that is the case because I do feel like even though I'm sure Trey's a very smart guy,
Yeah.
I'm sure that would be very helpful. So that way he can learn the harder plays, more complex plays, but he has the quicker plays that he can use for now while he gets adjusted to everything else. But yeah, I mean, I really hope that next week at home in Santa Clara at Levi's, that Trey gets his shot, gets to actually like get some good throws and stuff. I was really hoping to see Danny Gray in the game today,
Yeah.
just because we've seen Trey has a bit of a connection with him for those long passes, um, and that he's extremely fast. So it would have been nice to see that, but he did not. He was healthy scratch, I guess, inactive.
Yeah, I wasn't super surprised. I think just because, again, to do with the weather, I think, the Niners weren't going to go really deep because I
Yeah,
really think that's basically what the Niners are planning to use Danny Gray as.
yeah, no, yeah.
And then the one guy I was surprised about, though, just because obviously the Niners did, in fact, run the ball a lot, was Ty Davis Price. I was really surprised that he was inactive. I thought that
Mm,
all the running backs would actually be active. So I'm hoping next week we are able to see him though.
that would be nice. I know that Elijah Mitchell went down with it was apparently rolled a knee injury. Is that correct? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, from what I heard too, like he was just seen wearing a brace and didn't have crutches, but
Okay,
we'll see how long he misses. So I mean, Ty Davis Price probably will end up being.
probably. Assuming we'll learn more probably either tomorrow or Tuesday once we
Yep.
get
Yeah.
MRI or whatever imaging done. So hopefully
Yep.
that's not um too serious. But yeah, I mean, it's a disappointing opening, not winning the first game of the season. But and it's a little bit concerning because the Bears aren't our toughest opponent on the list, so it's a little bit concerning. But at least for me, week one is always a weird week. It's
Yeah.
the beginning. We're seeing where everybody is, and it's all the starters' first full time going through the week, getting ready to play the game. So it's we'll kind of just see how the season goes. I'm not writing off the season completely at
Oh
all.
yeah. No.
I've seen some hot takes on Twitter, and I'm just a little bit confused, but by some of those. But yeah, I mean, hopefully next week Seattle at home um, should be great atmosphere. Trey's first home game as a starter, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for next week. And yeah, I mean, hopefully the guys could shake it off and come back ready to go for Seattle.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I'm not worried. All the issues that happened today are fixable, and
Mhm,
so nothing to panic about. It's only the first week. Like I mentioned earlier, you had guys like teams like the Packers struggle mightily last year in
mhm.
week one, and it's like there was no point in having concern about them. So
Yeah, I think that's the silver lining is a lot of the stuff that went wrong this week is very fixable, very easy to adjust in practice, and for all of that stuff. And I'm sure they'll all go through all of it in film and all of that fun stuff. So
yep,
yeah, I'm not panicking yet at all.
yeah.
All right, is there anything else you want to talk about, or are you ready to wrap it up?
Those are mostly, yeah, the takeaways. Nothing, not too much.
Not too much, yeah.
Yeah.
I had the same feeling. I listened to the game at work while I was at work today, and caught highlights. Um, and I caught like the last 5 minutes of the game when I was on my break. Um, and it's disappointing to lose. I think in Nick Bosa's presser, he said it's disappointing or frustrating. I think is what he used. I know I saw something pop up on Twitter. I have to find it. And I think that's a good way to look at it. It's just one of those games that's going to be like, and if we end up making it all the way to the playoffs or something like that, we'll look back at this and be like, that was I really wish we would have won that one. So, it might be one of those games. Hopefully, it's not a game that will keep us out. Um, but yeah, I think we just gotta look forward to next week.
Yeah, I
Hopefully,
mean, even Trent Williams like said it, like they know, he knows they shot themselves in the foot. I'm sure the whole team does, and so they know this wasn't the 49ers type of football. So
yeah,
uh,
for sure, for sure. Alrighty, guys. Well, I believe that wraps it up. I was going to see if Brian was going to join us for the post game show, but looks like he's not home yet. So um, looks like that's not gonna happen. Just gonna see. Um, so we do have. If you want, follow us all on our Twitter. We're at 905R on Twitter. I believe we're at 905 Radio on Facebook and Instagram. And 905 Radio on YouTube, and I believe 905 Radio on Twitch as well. So follow all of those fun stuff. Here, I have a little social media read right here that I'm going to play real quick. Alrighty. Is there any place where they can follow you,
yeah,
Adam?
so I am on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at 49er Media, just the handle you see right there. So
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. So go give our friend a follow here as well. Um, and check him out and all of his awesome content that he puts up over there. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. Alrighty.
alrighty,
Bye.
peace.